Hello, and welcome to another episode of Something Something Chat Show with your host, Tom Jr. Jackson, and I am, as always, your host, Tom Jr. Jackson. And today, this is After the Movie Review. And today's movie we will be reviewing is the 1960 classic Stanley Kubrick film, Spartacus, starring Kirk Douglas. But first, folks, have you liked, commented, subscribed, ring that notification bell somewhere over here? And if not, why not? Give it a shot. And also down below here in the descriptions, you'll find some channels to check out. Check out the Network, ran by the wonderful, the talented, my good friend of the channel, Robert Meyer Burnett. Lots of great shows, and for just a mere 99 cents, that's like a dollar bill. You can get to talk with Rob every other weekend. So it's, bi-monthly. So every other weekend they do a what do you call it? A members only Zoom chat. And you get your 7 minutes in heaven with Rob. Get to ask him anything you want. So check that out. And also don't forget to check out Rob's show. Um, Let's Get Physical Media if you're into physical media. And who isn't into physical media? Savages, that's who. Um, Also, check out Midnight Musings, Ladies of the PGS. Ladies of the PGS with your host, RM, who does this brilliant show on the Network. Uh, with host Lorena Creole and sometimes Catherine Cook. It's a wonderful, wonderful show. And speaking of RM, who is a great friend to me and friend of the channel and a great supporter of the channel, and big shout out to her and her mom. Check out RM's channel, Positive Fandom. That is down below. Well, down below here, the link for that. And check that out because she does a lot of great shows on her channel. And they're fun. She does a Sunday morning brunch show. She does historical live watch parties. Historical meaning they pick a movie that has to do with history, and she will tell you where to watch it. You watch it, and while you're watching it, you type into the chat, you ask questions, you say what you think about the movie, and RM and her co-host Darth Plato will answer your questions, or maybe someone in the chat will. Neither or less, here or there, they're fun to watch. So check them out. Check out as well after the sequels. After the sequels is excuse me. After the sequels is another great channel by another fantastic friend to the channel, Maria Espino. She's a great friend of the channel. There's an interview on the channel here that I've done with her. And if I say channel anymore, take a drink. Um, and she's doing well. Not only is she the CEO, president, and tons of other things, she runs a video game company called The Last Gaming Prophecy. And right now she's making a Star Wars fan film. There are going to be three of the Star Wars fan films. The first one is called Episode 10, The Chosen One. It's an animated film. There will be three animated films and a television show that she's making as well. So check her channel out for all the information on that. She's doing a great job, and I couldn't be any prouder to call her my friend. So, as well as RM and the wonderful Robert Meyer Burnett. These people are all my good friends, and I couldn't be more prouder to say that. The next channel is Ray Lytle's Morning Disaster. Start your mornings off every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday morning with some free laughs. Because what will be said next on the show, you'll have to watch and find out. And then for a mere $5, you can, if you go to morningdisaster.net, you'll find how to see even more shows as you become a member of the channel. So that's morningdisaster.net, and check out Ray Lytle's Morning Disaster on either Facebook or YouTube, and share the show if you like it. Because I'm telling you, you have not laughed till you watched this show. Trust me, I know it's funny. I've had days of watching this show where I've laughed so hard, my chest is burning from laughing. Tears coming down my eyes. It's magical. It's a magical, and it's a great way to start your day. So check that channel out. And finally, check out Ed Martinez channel. Ed Martinez has worked for some 20 years, I believe, in the special effects field. He's worked on many films doing special effects and stuff. He has a YouTube channel, which is a great channel. As a matter of fact, Ed is also a good friend to the channel, a good friend, a new friend, I should say, to the channel. I recently made his acquaintance on one of the members only uh, members only calls on the Burnett Work. He's one of the members of the channel. He's a great guy, and check his channel out. He's got some really amazing stuff on there. Great guy. So check out those channels. Let's get on with the show, shall we? I think I've done enough house cleaning, as they call it. So we're going to talk about Spartacus. And Spartacus was made in 1960, and Stanley Kubrick uh, brought the epic historical story of Spartacus to the big screen with a script by blacklisted screenwriter Dalton Trumbo. And if you want to get into who Dalton Trumbo was, check out the brilliant film Trumbo with Bryan Cranston playing Dalton Trumbo. Fantastic film. Uh, so Dalton Trumbo was a blacklisted screenwriter, and he wrote the script. It was not only this movie was not only a critical success, but a commercial one as well, and it received several Academy Awards. And this is, and it's an epic film that only Stanley Kubrick could make. But what exactly is this film about? Well, excuse me. So Spartacus is about the slave Spartacus, who survives brutal training as a gladiator and leads a violent revolt against the decadent Roman Republic, as the ambitious Crassus seeks to gain power by crushing the uprising of the slaves. The slaves, the gladiators. Now, this film, I know the immediate question you're going to ask me. So, Tom, who's in this film? Well, you have um, Kirk Douglas, Sir Laurence Olivier, Gene Simmons, Charles Lawton, Peter Ustinov, um, Herbert Lom. Herbert Lom. If you ever watched the old Peter Sellers um, the old Peter Sellers, what do you call those? Pink Panther movies. He was Inspector Clouseau's boss. Like it's a who's who of uh, excuse me, of famous people in this film, in this movie, in this film, I should say. Um, so Stanley Kubrick directed a majority of the film. There was a second director who did the slave camp scenes, which is Anthony Mann, but he was uncredited. The writers on this film were Dalton Trumbo, Howard Fast, and Peter Ustinov, which was uncredited. Like I said, this came out in 1960, and okay, so here's here's the question. So before we get into the trivia and all that fun stuff, the question I know people are wondering: is this movie historically accurate? Well, in the movie, um, Spartacus is introduced to work in a quarry in northern Africa, where in reality he was born free as a member of the Thracia elite and served as a soldier in the Roman army. And in the film, he is bought by Batius, the owner of a gladiator school, and made to become a gladiator, where he would have them fight each other, but not fight each other to the death. That only happens when they're let go from the school and someone buys them. Um, so, in general, the early years of Spartacus are inaccurate to a degree. Spartacus at the time, he was in a gladiator school. That was accurate. As a matter of fact, this film is very much historically accurate. There are a lot of historically accurate facts in this film, scenes in this film, but then there are some that are in there that would make it, I want to say, for movie embellishment, for a better lack of words. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Now, that being said, this is a fascinating movie. It's a long one. It's like 3 hours and 3 minutes, but it doesn't feel that way. It really goes by. And these are the days, and these are the days when they would make a long film like this, and they would put an intermission. As a matter of fact, this film starts off with an overture where it's a black screen, and all you hear is these musical cues, and then you'll see the studio logo, and then you'll see, you'll finally hear the opening theme, the main, or they call it the main theme, I believe, and then it gets into the movie, and then there is like I said, a intermission because it's 3 hours and 3 minutes, just enough time to get yourself a snack, go to the bathroom, come back and watch the film. Whereas nowadays, all you can do is pause it, do what you need to do, come back and watch it. Now, I really enjoyed this film. I enjoyed it for the fact it's epic. It has everything you could want in a film like this. It has romance, it has action, it has good versus evil. It's got everything in it, and you don't you you find yourself rooting for Spartacus. You find yourself rooting for the good guys, and you find yourself looking at these bad people who, the baddies or whatever you want to call them, going, I can't believe these people are like this. But it's a film that is about a man that wants to be free. He wants these people to be free. They don't want to fight. They just want to be free. All they want to do is leave the Roman land and go somewhere else so they can live their lives and be productive. And all the Romans want are for them to be slaves and whatnot. And because this uprising happens, um, they start taking over villages with slaves, and and empower the other slaves into joining their, I guess you want to call it like a strike. So it would be like the earliest version of a strike where these people uprise, say, look, we want this. All we want is our freedom. We want our lives. We want to live our lives. We want to be married. We want to, we want to live with these women. We love the women. And it's a classic film. It's got everything in it. Now, Stanley Kubrick was brought in to direct after a major falling out with the original director, who was Anthony Mann. Not many people realize there was another director on this film. And according to Sir Peter Ustinov, the salt mine sequence was the only footage shot by Mann. And from what I know is that, and from what I've heard, is that Stanley Kubrick didn't really want to do this film or to have his name on it or something like that. That's the rumor that I hear. And it's funny because for some reason I've heard about this film 2 or 3 times this past week for some reason, and I just felt I had to watch it. And it really is an epic film. It's a great 3-hour film, and it really does go by, and especially with the what do you call it, intermission. It just swings. It swings for the fences and hits that ball out of the park. And it does have those romantic moments, where the romance comes in. Does it slow down the film? A little, but you know what? That's how it was in those days. You get your action, you get everything building up, you get your woman, you find her, you fall in love with her. Woman is sent off, guy goes to look for her. It's one of those kind of films. And they don't make them like this anymore. This kind of epic, brilliant film that you find yourself rooting for. I would say there are a few films in that category I could put in there, epic wise. Lawrence of Arabia, Spartacus, Ten Commandments. Modern wise, I would put in Oppenheimer. And the reason I say Oppenheimer is, and because at some point this month there will be an Oppenheimer review, because I'll be able to watch it again. Because I saw it at the movies, but when I get the movie itself on Blu-ray, I'll be able to watch it and really focus on it, because it's a beautifully epic film. But that's not the point. The point is this: is that these long films that take 3.5 to 4 hours long, some people find them annoying. Some people think, oh, they're too long, they're too long. That's because the attention span nowadays is so short, like MTV short, like, everything's got to be in like block bites. And sometimes you just got to sit back, relax, and enjoy that ride. You can do it with the extended edition of Lord of the Rings, which personally to me, the extended version of the Lord of the Rings films and the Hobbit films are the way to go. But you just enjoy the ride. Almost Famous, the the untitled director's cut. I think it was originally called Untitled. That cut is a bit longer, about 17 minutes longer, something like that. That film, you really watch the director's cut or the unrated cut or whatever you want to call it, and it flows by. There's more story to it, but you feel that you're on that ride with the band, that you're following the band, that you're with the band, and you're enjoying that. And I can't wait to review that film as well. But it's a great film. Another neither or less. So the original version of um, Spartacus included a scene where Marcus Linicus Crassus, who was played by Laurence Olivier, attempts to seduce Antonius, who was played by Anthony Hopkins. Now, back in those days, the production code and the Legion of Decency both objected, and at one point, Jeffrey Sherlock, who's a man who was representing the censors, suggested it would help if the reference in the scene were to a preference for oysters or snails, was changed to truffles and artichokes. And in the end, the scene was cut. But in 1991, it was put back into the film for the restoration. However, the soundtrack had been lost in the meantime, and the dialogue had been dubbed. Curtis was able to redo his lines, but Olivier had died, and Dame Joan Plowright, who is this wonderful actress. She's in a great movie with Kevin Pollak called Avalon. Check that movie out. She is Olivier's widow, and she remembered that Sir Anthony Hopkins had done a dead-on impression of Olivier, and she mentioned this to the restoration team, and they approached Anthony Hopkins, and he agreed to voice Olivier's lines in that scene, and he's actually thanked in the credits for the restored version of Spartacus. Now, I own this on Blu-ray, 4K Blu-ray. Beautiful transfer, beautifully restored. It's one of those films that you watch and you can't take your eyes off it. It's beautifully made. They don't make films like this anymore, folks. They really don't. Now, although it'd been suggested that the 42-year-old Kirk Douglas was too old to play Spartacus, it is believed that the real man was about 38 when he died. 32, 38 when he died, something like that. But what are you going to do? So Sir Peter Ustinov, who's a great actor, joked about his daughter born at the beginning of production and being in kindergarten by the time this movie was finished. When asked what her father did for a living, she would answer, Spartacus. I have to say, there's an impressive amount of actors in this film, from Peter Ustinov to Tony Curtis. And if you don't know who Tony Curtis is, his daughter is Jamie Lee Curtis from Halloween, Trading Places, A Fish Called Wanda. So yeah, it's just pretty much a big deal. Let's see here. Now this takes place during the third Sarvel War. Now, 30 years after this film was made, Jean Simmons, not that Jean Simmons, the actress, met the baby she held in this movie, the baby that became Spartacus's child. and that baby had grown up to become a stunt woman in the movie industry as well. Now, despite this being a huge box office success, gaining 4 Oscars and being considered to rank among the very best of historical epics, Stanley Kubrick disowned this movie and did not include it as part of his canon, although his personal mark is a distinctive part of the final movie. His contract did not give him complete control over filming, which is the only way that Stanley Kubrick would make a film is if he had final cut. He was able to do what he wanted to do. So he disowned the film. Not only that, but he frequently clashed with the studio and star producer Kirk Douglas, making this the only occasion on which he did not exercise such control over one of his movies, because he found it to be so um, frustrating. Now, the 1991 restored. The 1991 restoration contains exactly 4 more minutes of footage than the version that ran in theaters in 1960. 2 of those minutes are taken up by the famous snails and oyster scene. The rest are scenes of gore and violence, including a more explicit version of the death of Draba and a shot of the slicing off of the arm of a Roman soldier played by real-life amputee Bill Raish. During the climatic battle scene, the remainder of the longer running time of the restored version is taken up by overture, intermission, and the exit music. So, as I said before, this movie comes with an overture, which is, just, the orchestra playing that music, meaning it's time to sit down, the lights were going to go down, and the film is about to start. And then your intermission, so you can go to the bathroom, and your exit music would be your credits. Nowadays, it would be your credits. Back then, all the credits would be at the front of the movie. But there are credits for this movie for the restoration of the film. And yeah, it's a wonderful film. And let's see here. I'm checking my notes. When Kirk Douglas asked Stanley Kubrick his opinion of the I Am Spartacus scene, Kubrick, in front of the cast and crew, called it a, quote, stupid idea. And Kirk Douglas promptly chewed Kubrick out. And the I Am Spartacus scene is a scene that is one of the most influential, one of the most iconic scenes in a film. And if you don't know it, when you'll see it, you will. Would I recommend this film? Yes. If you are a fan of history films, if you are a fan of gladiator movies, if you are a fan of romance, a fan of action, a fan of sword fighting, I would say watch this film. If not for the performances in it, but for the beautiful, beautiful vistas in it as well. So that's what I would, recommend it for. I want to thank you all for watching. And I would also like to say a big thank you to all my supporters and viewers of the channel and new members of the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. And as always, please remember this, that we'll have more movies, more reviews, more everything on this channel, because you know why? You are important, folks. You are the most important to me because you are why I do what I do, because I do. Yes, and I know I said do twice. What can I do? I think I'm funny, but you know. So, as always, folks, um, eh, be sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Um, oh, here we go. Subscribe to the channel, and as always, please remember that this is the most fun and informative movie channel on the YouTube. I'm your host, Tom Jr. Jackson, as it says right here. Oh, let's see if I can learn how to point right. There we go. Right here, Tom Jr. Jackson. That's me. And be sure to, if you want to send an email in, send an email in. We have a email address down in the description. All my shows are in playlists, so check them out. And as always, please remember, we are all goof people. As always, I am your host, Tom G. Jackson, saying thank you. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.